Alright. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Spirit of Justice, Chapter 3, Case 3. The Right of Turnabout. So we got through the interesting part already, where she has the vision and managed to decipher all that. And now we have the first witness, anonymous. What was it? TBD, anonymous TBD, or something like that. Who I think might be Larry Butts. What exactly just happened? Oh, that's right. We had this silly. Ay. The moon was over a particular mountain, and that's why we were able to prove that the shadows didn't go a certain way, which... Oof. But that's okay. Like, oh, okay. He's like, no, I really did see those silhouettes. Like, oh, maybe he was someplace where they were visible. So I think we're gonna say he was on the mountain with them. The brand new fact that comes to light if Mr. Imus did see those shadows is somewhere else. He wasn't where he claimed to be at the time of the murder. Oh, then where do you propose the witness was? Someplace where he could have seen the shadow figures naturally. Wait, you mean... None of the mountains east of the inner sanctum are close enough for a good view. That leaves only one place he could have clearly seen the shadows from. And where might that be? This is where Mr. Imus was at the time of the murder. Well, I think he was on the mountain, but I don't remember which... What is the Plaza of Devotion? Is that, like... the plaza where the first, like... down on the ground? Okay, he was in the inner sanctum then. Mr. Imus was at the inner sanctum, just outside the curtain, on the east side. That's the only place from which he could have seen the shadowy figures. Really? Wow. I didn't even think of that. But wasn't the inner sanctum off limits to all but the victim and the accused? And the third party who was there, you mean? I get the feeling that's a subject Prosecutor Sadmati would rather not touch right now. Ah, you mean... That's right. This witness was at the scene of the crime, which means he is the mysterious third party we saw during the divination sequence. He could be the one who killed Lady Kira. He could be the one who dressed as Lady Kira and killed the High Priest. What?
Objection.
No one but the two participants were allowed anywhere near the inner sanctum. And the only way up there are the stairs that start down at the Plaza of Devotion. Oh, okay, Plaza of Devotion's the thing at the base of the mountain. So tell me, how do you propose the witness entered that sacred space? Oh, he must have, I haven't thought that far ahead. I have. He flew there. The sanctum has sheer cliffs on three sides and a steep, towering rock face on the other. No one could have made it there by climbing the faces of those cliffs. His Majesty speaks true. To say Mr. Imus was at such an inaccessible location is but a bid to tarnish his credibility. Is that not right? Right. I wasn't at the Inner Sanctum. No sir, no how. At least I'm pretty sure I wasn't.
Hold it!
You're Larry. I knew from the start that you were Larry. Then what about those silhouettes you claim to have seen? I'm starting to think I might have been imagining things. What? This is insane. Bro, I knew we couldn't trust that lawyer. What? What? Peace. Peace, I say. This is impossible. Unless I can show how he got to the Inner Sanctum, it just looks like I'm trying to slander Mr. Immis. I believe in you, Nick. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah, fight, fight, Phoenix Wright. Just look at the accused. Has she no shame? What's your problem, lady? Phoenix Wright is very trustworthy, I'll have you know. She's got some nerve for a criminal. I bet that lawyer poisoned her mind. Please, Maya, you're only making it worse. I appreciate the vote of confidence, but it's probably best to keep it to yourself for now. I would advise the defense to think carefully before making any more sudden outbursts. Yes, Your Honor, Your Majesty. Again with the Majesty. Don't like it. If I wasn't the bad guy before, I definitely am now. Now, Mr. Remus, I would like you to think back carefully before you testify next about where you were that night. I was never at the Inner Sanctum, I tell you. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place. Boy, you lawyers sure are scary. Is this where we're going to present the ropeway? I guess it might have been impossible for him to get to the Inner Sanctum like he claims, but... Now will you desist in trying to frame this innocent witness? Yeah, I'd like to see you explain how he got up there. Mr. Wright, is it not time to end these cross-examinations? A moment of desperation leads to 100 million years of torment. It means that for each moment a sinner spends struggling to deny their sins, 100 million years of torment are added to their time in hell. Cryanism is the strictest religion ever. And just so you know, you've already accrued 200 million extra years. Plus the 500 million years they started with, that's 700 million years of torment. Sure, what's another 200 million, give or take? Well, it's a big deal to me. I can't keep saying that the witness was there at the Inner Sanctum if I can't prove it. The problem is, how am I going to do that? Boodaloo-boo. Alright, so it's got something to do with the... It's not a ropeway, it's a parachute, I think. Or something. What was it? No, it might be too soon for this. Not a good quilt. Better than your quilt. I don't know that. I said that in anger, I'm sorry. Mr. Amos wasn't at the Inner Sanctum, or precisely couldn't get there? I don't see a way out of this. Yeah, these kinds of debates only get worse if you argue them the wrong way. I'll have to pry some conclusive testimony out of him, then present some evidence. Okay. Like when you're trying to catch frogs in a pond, once you got a grip on one, you better hold on tight. Right, something like that. Alright, so I guess that means press on this, and he's gonna say something like, there weren't any quilts. I wonder if it really was impossible for you to get to the inner sanctum. If you have something to say, just say it. Couldn't there have been another way to get there? A way that wouldn't attract attention? Nope, there isn't. Which means there is. Perhaps the defense would like to share its theory with us. I don't even have a wild guess, let alone a theory, though. Time to reach into my bag of bluffs. To reach the inner sanctum without attracting any attention, he fell from the sky. Maybe you fell from the sky? The lawyer thinks he's a comedian now. I was wondering what crazy theory you would propose next. Well, defense, let's hear it. Mr. Emmis could have, parachuted down. We already know the weather was clear and there was no wind to speak of. And that the tiny little strips of cloth can be hastily sewn into a working parachute that wouldn't kill you. Perfect weather for skydiving, I'd say. What's up with the Judge? We have left Japanifornia and gone to the kingdom of Kurain. This is a different guy. It's a totally different guy. No relation. And everybody here dresses like that. Now that you have been backed into a corner, your delusions grow ever more delusional. The inner sanctum is on a tiny ledge upon a sheer cliff over 2,000 meters tall. One misstep and the skydiver would soon find themselves in the twilight realm. Yeah, I don't care how still the wind was. Even I couldn't have made that jump. Wait, what's this building on top of the sacred mountain? Also, are we looking at a pic? Did somebody present this as evidence? That is Royal Penitentiary number 4. Oh, right. Princess Rayfa mentioned there was a prison up there. How do you get your prisoners up there, anyway? By helicopter, but only with authorization from the Minister of Justice. He is the only one who can approve flights that pass over the inner sanctum. Might I also add, defense, that no parachute or any equipment necessary for skydiving have been found except for the one that you found. Are you saying I flew down there by flapping my arms? I may be an incredible dude, but even I'm not capable of that. Arnig. Well, please add that statement to your testimony, Mr. Emmis. Not like I can fly through the air either. Okay.
Hold it!
Toilet paper rope. Exactly. Just like Danganronpa. You wouldn't need to flap your arms if you had some gear. As I have already stated, nothing of the sort was found in or around the scene of the crime. I'd sure like to see some of that so-called gear you're talking about. I know, but was there really nothing like that at the inner sanctum? What if there was something that could have been used as a parachute? I should give the evidence another look. Okay. Yes, I realized it. If I can't find any inconsistencies, guess I can always try to elicit some more testimony. So is it now time? Oops. Present. No. Yes. Present.
Objection!
Good. Okay. Mr. Emmis is right. He couldn't have skydived down there without any gear. Well now, finally come around, have you? Now you see that I couldn't have possibly been there at the inner sanctum. Right. If you didn't have any gear, that is. What on earth are you talking about? That overreaction is a dead giveaway that I'm on the right track. Take a look at this piece of evidence. Those are prayer flags, are they not? Yes, but they have been sewn together to create one big banner, a banner that could also function like a parachute. Pokunka. The people of Kurain are so used to seeing prayer flags that the police didn't even think twice about these flags during their investigation. No, this cannot be. The witness landed at the inner sanctum by using these prayer flags as a parachute. A real parachute, where he jumped off of a real mountain. Is that not right, Mr. Immis? There's no way out. I'm surrounded. Mr. Immis? Hey, Usurp. All this talk's jogged my memory. I guess I was there at the inner sanctum after all. Grrr. As I suspected, there were 3 people there that night. Oh, and as soon as I'm done with stream, I will message Marstead. I forgot to do that. To say, use the subblock hour for, what is it called again? Virgo versus the Zodiac? You did it, Nick. You weren't wrong after all. Thanks. Mr. Immis, you were the one disguised as Lady Kira that night, weren't you? What? No way, no how. It's like this. Oh yeah. I was only there at the inner sanctum by accident. By accident? Exactly. And that thing's not a parachute, it's a homemade paraglider. A paraglider. Are you telling me you could fly using that patchwork mess of material? It may not look like much, but it's as sturdy as can be. I rode the wind like an eagle, going higher and higher from my earthly launching point. But then something happened that forced me to land at the inner sanctum. So you just happened to land there? You expect me to believe that? Oh no, please calm yourself, Mr. Wright. Oh, okay. Played a little bit of West of Loathing. The Reckonin' at Gun Manor, which I loved. And I didn't go and play through on my... Here's... Every week, if you want to know why I always look sad on Tuesdays, it's because I get up, and I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday. Well, my weekend's over. You know, I kind of wanted to do stuff this weekend, didn't I? I wanted to play, like, real video games instead of Final Fantasy XIV. I wanted to, like, actually do stuff instead of just refreshing Reddit and rewatching old videos on YouTube. I'm like, oh man, my weekend's just went over. I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff that I kind of want to do today. But I have a 3-hour stream to do. Like, it's right at the very end of my weekly free time that I'm like, oh, wait, I've squandered it. I've squandered the whole thing. And playing through the West of Loathing DLC again is one of the things that I wanted to do. To go, hey, I should go through and do the... get that other ending. Like, I had done everything right, except for at the very end. I guess I wasn't supposed to kill the guy. I was supposed to do something else. And I have other save files that are at the end of the game, but never did the DLC, so I could just, jump over the DLC and just fly through it, since I know the answers to everything, and I'm really strong for anything that I have to fight. And then also to run through and do a do a genocide run where I just kill all the ghosts. And instead, I just refreshed Reddit over and over for a whole weekend. No, I did a little tiny bit of stuff, I guess, this weekend, but not enough. However, the fact that the witness was at the inner sanctum is crucial testimony indeed, and it certainly warrants further explication? It is a word. Explanation would have been the natural word to say. Is he being fancy? Is he being Uriange? What is explication? Does it mean that you make something explicit? To make plain or clear. Explain, interpret. Well, alright. Therefore, let's continue with more testimony. It's so, like, one of the subs that I spend a lot of time on is called No Stupid Questions, where people will ask something, you just jump in and answer them, right? And I made several posts trying to explain to this guy what was wrong with his idea. He was like, you know, there's these problems that we have with resistant bacteria, right? Couldn't we just build all hospitals to where we can, like, set them on fire? Like, I can't even explain how dumb it was. And there was somebody who was, like, trying to say, like, I don't know, he had this huge, like, back and forth with this other person who was being a little bit rude to him, like, don't you realize how that wouldn't work, and all this other stuff, and he was like, no, well, you know. And so I had, like, 4 or 5 posts explaining, like, why it would not help at all. Like, the walls and tables and stuff aren't what's spreading disease. It's the freaking people. It's the people and the instruments and stuff. The problem is not that once a year you should clear everyone out of the hospital, evacuate the whole of... First of all, build the hospital out of completely, flame-retardant materials, and then take out all of the people and all of the equipment that would be destroyed by fire, and then spray a bunch of gasoline all over the walls and just set the hospital on fire for a while, in case there was a germ. In case there was, a germ on the ceiling. And anyway, that was my weekend instead of playing a video game that I would have liked. That evening, I was enjoying a trek through the night sky with my homemade paraglider. But just as Mount Pony was drawing near, something terrible happened. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum. As I landed, I banged my head, causing me to lose my memory. So you see, I ended up at the inner sanctum purely by accident. Alright, so we have to press him on the something happened. Mr. Immis, you failed to mention any of this during your pre-trial question. Can't be helped. I mean, I'm just remembering it now. Continue such slipshod testimony, and you will be cast into the hell of hangnails. Where you shall have hangnails. Obviously, we know what the hell of hangnails is. You didn't have to explain it. Hoo-ha! I think I'll pass on that. Looks like that caught Prosecutor Sarmati off guard. This is my chance to rip his case to shreds.
Hold it!
Something terrible happened. It was a Tatsumaki. Exactly. When I say terrible, I mean terrible. What? Was there something unexpected near Mount Pony? What was it again? Wait, you don't remember? Let's just say it was terrible. Oh, so that wasn't helpful.
Hold it!
Is it this one? What exactly was this accident you had? Good question. Now, what was it again? Wind? Oh yeah, it was the wind. Not just any wind, but a sudden Tatsumaki made me lose control. The wind was strong enough to make you lose control. You got that right. Okay, then please add that to your testimony. Gale force winds came out of nowhere, so I made an emergency landing at the sanctum. We have the weather report or something, don't we? Probably. I guess this doesn't explicitly say no wind, but we've been using this, right? People have said that the whole time, that there was no wind. Okay, so it's this.
Objection!
Good. I'm always afraid that, that they're gonna go like, nope, it was something dumb instead of the right answer. We have a saying in my country, Mr. Immis. One lie begets another. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? It means someone caught lying will lie again in an attempt to conceal their first lie. In other words, this current testimony is just a blatant lie you're telling to cover your tracks. What did you just say? You claimed gale force winds caused you to lose control, but this newspaper has the weather report for the day of the murder. It says the area around the inner sanctum will enjoy calm, clear skies today. Polkunka! Why, I do believe it says that. One lie begets another. That makes sense, but... is it really a saying back home? I've never heard of it. Yeah, I kind of made that one up. For real. Your Majesty, the witness's testimony contains another flaw, one that's even more fatal to his cause. More fatal, you say? The defense will explain himself at once. Mr. Immis claims he was flying up around the inner sanctum with his paraglider, but it would have been impossible to get all the way up there without any wind. Okay. Why, yes, I believe you're right. But we know the witness was at the inner sanctum, so... Mr. Immis, how did you get there, and from where? Dots. Without any wind, he couldn't have flown up there from the bottom of the mountain. By process of elimination, the only starting point that makes any sense is... Your Majesty, I believe I have the answer to your question. To reach the inner sanctum, he must have launched himself from here, the octagon. He launched himself from the octagon.
Take that!
Hoo-ha! Are you insane? That's where he came from? If he couldn't have come from below, the only other option is from above. So you see, Anonymous must have come down from Royal Penitentiary number 4. From there, he could have easily reached the inner sanctum by parachute. And that means he might have also killed the High Priest. What? Mr. Immis, were you the third party at the inner sanctum, and the one behind the warning to halt the right that the victim received? Was it you we saw in his final memory? Are you the rebel hunter, Lady Kira? Hoo-ha! Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, sir, help me out here. You did it. You finally left him speechless. Oh, come on, Mr. Prosecutor, man. Quiet, you fool. You should use this time to prepare yourself for what is to come. For a fate far worse than hangnail hell awaits you now. Well done, defense. I must concede this point to you. The witness did in fact descend to the inner sanctum from Royal Penitentiary number 4. Huh? He didn't even put up a fight this time. That's awfully generous of him. But if you are perceptive as you seem, then surely you've already figured out the riddle. The riddle of Anonymous's true identity. Oh, his true identity? Not sure I know quite yet, but I guess I'll have to answer with something. It would seem I'm the only one still in the dark here. Would the defense care to enlighten me? Who is this man we've been calling Anonymous? The witness's true identity is Larry Butts. I got his picture right here in my back pocket. Is this really him? Only now do you realize the truth. Well, please do share with us your belated insight. What's wrong, Nick? Why are you holding back? Because this isn't going to be very helpful to our case. Really? Are you sure? Unfortunately, I've got no other choice. That scruffy beard and shaggy mane completely threw me off. But it's all becoming clear now. The nighttime base jump from the mountaintop prison. You don't gotta put periods in base jump. The precision landing at the inner sanctum, using only a homemade parachute. Only a paratrooper, or more precisely, a former paratrooper could have pulled that off. Was he? Is that what he was? Well, I guess it. I guess it did say that. Kinda missed that. This witness is That's Horrible, prison escapee and key member of Dirk's rebel group. What? Gah! The witness is an escaped prisoner. Then it doesn't really make sense that he would have said, yes, I'll be a witness. Like, he could have just ran. He could have just ran for his life. Why did he stop and talk to us? Why did he stop and talk to anybody? Precisely. The police have been scouring every corner of the city to no avail. Meanwhile, here he was under our noses the entire time. Didn't think anyone would see through my clever disguise. But the witness's charade is not all that has been shattered. Is it, defense? Boy, do I hate this guy. Please recall the defense's own words. Whoever sent it clearly meant to threaten the high priest. The letter said, do not perform the rite, but the rite went on as scheduled. I believe that is why the high priest was murdered. Yeah, that's horrible. The names, like, the previous game, the names were fine. Fantastic, even. We had Florence LaBelle, right? That's not a pun. LaBelle is a French word, but it's not a pun. We had Phineas Filch. Filch means steal, and he stole things all the time. That's great. That's a great name that sounds like a name. You had Bobby whatever. He didn't even have a last name. His name was just Bobby. What a great name. Juniper Woods. That's because she lives out in nature, but even so, like, Juniper sounds like a real first name. Woods is a real last name. Fulbright. Sure. Bobby Fulbright. This one, they just got so lazy with the names. Or not lazy, just... Maybe they were even more ridiculous puns in Japanese, and they were like, well, we gotta do it. Like, I'm more and more just not a fan of this game. It's unfortunate. There's something missing between this and, like, Danganronpa and whatever we played recently, the Somnium Files. There was something more, like, wacky about them. More, like... This seems more like a kid's game, you know? Like, I mean, not just the level of violence and eye gouging, and you know, people showing up covered in puddles of pink blood. There's something about this that I can't put my finger on it. That it's more. There is that. Like, above and beyond just being formulaic, though, there is something missing. I can't quite, maybe by the end of the playthrough I'll put my finger on it. Who do you suppose sent that letter? A person with something to hide. The rebel hunter disguised as Lady Kira herself. He claimed that the real killer was the rebel hunter disguised as Lady Kira. Yeah, and what's your point? What of the witness's true identity? Only a pair... I just said this not 10 seconds ago. Witnesses, that's horrible. Okay. Oh no! He is a rebel, and an escaped prisoner. He could not possibly have been Lady Kira, mortal enemy of the rebels. No! Now, perhaps the witness will enlighten us to the truth. After all, he has yet to refute any of this. Hoo-ha! You got me. I'm the razor-sharp fangs of the defiant dragons. That's horrible. When did you get your memory back? Oh, around the time you guys were talking about there being no wind. But you gotta give me credit for making up all that testimony off the top of my head. Are you prepared to tell us the truth now? Well, it's true I parachuted down to the inner sanctum. But I banged my head on impact and ended up unconscious outside the ritual curtain. In short, all my eyewitness testimony was a big fat lie. A big fat lie? Oh, by the way, long time no see. Yudi. Wait, they know each other? Your Majesty. This filthy rebel belongs in a jail cell. Oh, yes, of course. Bailiff, seize him at once. Seems you really have forgotten the will of the dragon, huh, Yudi? But I haven't. No dogs of the Garan... Garan? Was that the... Oh, that's the name of the... Is that their last name? The king and queen, or whatever they're called? They're not even in here as important people. Fine. No dogs of the Garan regime are gonna lay a finger on me. Alley-oop! Deploy all available resources. I want all units placed on high alert. Was the Queen's first name? Okay, I thought last name. The escaped prisoner escaped again. The police force has been placed on high alert. He will be caught before long. An escaped prisoner who's escaped the law again after giving a ton of false testimony. Talk about a troublemaker. He really pulled a number on all of us. What was the point of all that anyway? Phoenix turns to the camera. What was the point of all that? That's why I didn't ask if you were sure. Well, I can't help but feel that entire episode was an enormous waste of time, the judge says directly to the camera. Your Majesty, perhaps it was not as great of a waste as you might believe. What makes you say that, Prosecutor Sadbari? That's Honorable dropped something he made as he made his escape from these halls. That scrap of paper looks awfully familiar. These appeared to be direct orders from Dirk. From Dirk? The rebel leader? Oh, but we only have a small corner of it. Wait, I remember now. Your Majesty, I've seen that scrap of paper before. You have? Part of... It's not that, right? Is it this? Are there two copies? One of them is bloodstained and the other is... Yeah, I guess. I guess that's it.
Take that!
And this is? I found it at the scene of the crime. It appears to be a copy of the order that Mr. Arbol dropped. If we put the two together, we should be able to see what the order says. What the... Oh my! And just what does it say, Mr. Wright? Can't read or nothing. Ah. Prosecutor Sadmati, if you please. The ignorant lawyer has not bothered to learn our language? Very well, then. That's not what it looks like. You pulled out a totally different scroll and started reading it. I do not understand. Well, what does it say? Using the lamplights as a landmark, he was to parachute down to the inner sanctum. Upon the rite's completion, he was to don Lady Kira's robes and make his escape. What? That is how he was to escape from prison? Couldn't he have just parachuted and landed miles away? So, if I were to assume that Mr. Arbol was the one who killed the High Priest, then maybe it was because Abbot Inme tried to thwart his escape plan. Oh, foul lawyer, I'm afraid that is simply ludicrous. Huh? But I didn't say anything. Did he just read my mind? I'm psychic. I know how your putrid mind works. Unfortunately for you, however, now that the rebel's escape plan has been revealed, it is clear that Dutz Arbol is not the High Priest's killer. How can you be so sure? If only you would use that putrid brain of yours every once in a while. Dutz Arbol's plan could not have worked without the help of a certain individual. What do you mean? I am speaking of Abbot Inme, of course. Had Dutz Arbol simply donned Lady Kira's robes and made his escape alone, he would have been far too conspicuous. But were he by the High Priest's side, the faithful citizens praying in the plaza would have no cause to suspect anything. It is, therefore, unthinkable that Dutz Arbol was the High Priest's killer. Ugh! So then you're saying the High Priest was a... Oh, I cannot bear to say it. I'm afraid it is so. He numbered among the rebels who threaten our kingdom. How could this be? The High Priest, a rebel? There must be some kind of mistake. Alright, well, whatever. Let it go and move on. Accept the truth. It is the only way. And that goes double for you, defense. Cease your futile battle now. And why should I? Because I will now put the final nail in the coffin of the accused. Now that we have eliminated that Zarable from our list of suspects, there is only one person that still remains, the accused, Maya Fey.
Hold it!
Hold it right there. Aren't you forgetting something important? Something important? Please do explain, defense. We can't end this trial without looking into everything, please. Have we not talked about the murder weapon, I guess? Well, wait, what was he just... He was just talking about... Nope. What about the murder weapon? We haven't found it yet. What does it matter if it has been found or not? The fact remains that the victim was killed with it by the accused. I also fail to see how that would be important, Mr. Wright. This, however, is. What? I still got lives. Don't say that. It seems there is no need to continue this trial any longer. No, Your Majesty, there is still something important that must be brought to light. What about the arrow that was fired into the High Priest's house? It was simply a means to deliver the warning letter to the victim. That's more or less the same conclusion we came to yesterday. You know, I guess you're right. The whole trial has been about the third party. I'm talking about the true identity of the Lady Kira we saw in the seance vision. If that wasn't Dot's Arable, then who was it? It should have said the fourth party. Because we've already accounted for 3 people, so are we saying that there's a 4th person now? I don't know. That matter has already been resolved. It has? What's he talking about? It is as I have maintained from the start. There was no third party in the seance vision. But there was another Lady Kira besides Maya Fey. We all saw her. What the... I can't do my finger point. Yes, you can. You certainly can. I promise that you can. Yarg! It is time to let it go and move on. Your fate has already been sealed, much like your arm. This hardly seems fair. It is quite simple once you consider where the victim and accused were at the time. If the victim was near the spring with his back to the accused, what would he see ahead? Besides the water itself, there is nothing but the Warbad statue. Precisely. Oh wait, was that Phoenix that said that? Oh, the judge. The Lady Kira we saw in the sands is the Warbad statue draped in her sacred robes. Okay. That was what I said, like, a long time ago. Like, oh, he just stabbed himself like an idiot on the statue. No way! The accused wanted the false Lady Kira to appear in the seance vision before she came from behind and stabbed the victim with the dagger in a reverse grip. But why would the accused want to do something like create a false Lady Kira? To show it to the victim as he was being slain. And what reason would the accused have to fool the victim she was about to kill? I don't understand how any of this seance vision works. It's only my entire job for my whole life. It was not the victim she was trying to fool. It was this very court itself. Come again? Suspicion would not fall on the accused if it looked like another Lady Kira was there. And the defense was foolish enough to fall for it and claim it was a third party in disguise. Are you saying? I am. It was all a cleverly wicked scheme perpetrated by the accused. A scheme in which she sought to use the seance vision to mislead us. This can't be happening. What a face you are making, defense. I am surprised you are taking this so hard. After all, did I not clearly state a while back that you were chasing after naught but a deluded fantasy? Something has occurred to me, you see. And your allegations of a third party are but a deluded fantasy. Okay. You're telling me he knew this is how it would turn out all the way back then? And he was just waiting for the most effective moment to spring it on me? Do you understand now? I have had you dancing in the palm of my hand this entire time. It can't be. This is an outrage. Why are you outraged? You took our royal priestess's sacred divination seance and used it to commit this most foul and despicable murder? Oh, that's an outrage. No, I did nothing of the sort. Maya, Nick, it's not true. I didn't. Cease this ugly display. Your fate is sealed now that the facts have been exposed. Your Majesty, the time has come to convict this criminal who seeks only to taint this sacred hall. Indeed. It seems this trial is over. Why are we saying hold it? I don't got anything to disprove this, do I? Does the defense wish to offer up yet another counter-argument or something? Okay. The accused is not the killer. And, here's why. Now what do? I've got nothing. It would appear that the defense has run out of arguments to make. I thought for sure that the rebel was the killer. The only person with a possible motive, the one dressed as Lady Kira, has vanished. And I've got nothing to use against Prosecutor Sudmati's argument. Damn it! I can't lose now. Not like this. Very well, then. I shall now render my verdict. Wait! Please wait! I'm begging you! It is time to let it go and move on. This trial need not be drawn out any longer. The defense has failed to counter the charge filed by the prosecution. In accordance with the law, I invoke the Defense Culpability Act against the defense. Now then, this court finds the accused, Maya Fey, and the defense, Phoenix Wright. So he's going to actually say guilty, and then something else will happen. Arg! Your Majesty, please forgive the interruption, but... What is the meaning of this? A body has been discovered. A body has been found in the Plaza of Devotion, Your Majesty. What's this? A body? What happened now? And we found this sticking out of the victim. Why, that's Lady Kira's warbard dagger. Lady Kira, she's returned from the Twilight Realm once more. She's come to defeat the rebels. Peace. Well, it would seem the dagger that was once lost has now been found. I have one more thing to report, Prosecutor Sudmati. Yes? This dagger. How did you freaking fingerprint? This just happened, right? Also, where is there even a surface on the handle to hold fingerprints? But why would Maya's print be on it? I cannot believe it, yet it must be true. Is something the matter, Prosecutor Sadmati? This trial has run its course, and the accused's guilt has been firmly established. However, it would seem the defense was right about one thing. I was? You claimed that the murder at the inner sanctum had been carried out by the rebel hunter masquerading as Lady Kira. I did say something to that effect, but what of it? Prosecutor Sadmati, are you suggesting what I think you are? I believe the true identity of the rebel hunter who has been masquerading as Lady Kira is none other than the accused, Ms. Maya Fey. So wait, okay, alright, so maybe we're saying that okay, the corpse that was found isn't someone who was freshly killed right this second. It was someone who, I guess, died before the trial started. No? Even further back, because she's been in custody the whole time. What is going on? I realize how shocking this must seem. Looking back, however, I now realize that there was much that pointed to this fact. The rebel hunting Lady Kira was first sighted about 2 years ago, and the accused first came to our kingdom 2 years ago as well. Why, the timing matches perfectly. But there is more. That warning letter was found in the High Priest's bedroom 3 days before the rite. Despite his house being locked up tight that night.
Objection!
How does that prove anything? It is difficult to believe an intruder could have found a way to enter such a secure house. However, the accused was known to come and go freely there, mainly to prepare for the purification rite. Abbot Emmy was an important figure with a ton of duties, including training acolytes. He was really kind, even to a foreigner like me. He even invited me over to his house whenever I was between training sessions. The accused could have easily left the house unlocked for herself without anyone noticing. Oh. Okay. If we assume that the accused was Lady Kira, that more than establishes her motive for killing the High Priest. Yes, the victim was secretly an insurgent, bent on helping Dut's Arable escape after all. Precisely, that made him a target of Lady Kira's wrath. And after killing the High Priest, she then unleashed her divine justice on another rebel. So it seems the scope of this case has expanded. We now have 2 murders perpetrated by Ms. Maya Fey, masquerading as Lady Kira. If Ms. Fey is indeed a serial killer, it would affect the severity of her punishment. In light of this, I believe this second murder must be investigated before we can proceed. As you wish, Your Majesty. Maya Fey, I hereby charge you with this second murder. May your defiled soul feel the weight of your sins. A new murder charge on top of a guilty verdict? It seems the defense will live to see one more day. So wait, they're like, we need to have this second trial because we may need an even more harsh punishment. By the way, the punishment for the first murder was death for both of you. Talk about hanging on by a thread. Come tomorrow, a far more terrible punishment awaits you. I hereby suspend these proceedings so that a second murder may be investigated. Until the conclusion of this new investigation, this court is adjourned. Yeah, they should I guess. They should be fans of the Rebel Hunter, so that doesn't make much sense either. I don't know. It should be like, yep, you went and killed the rebels. That makes you the good guy.